Oh, g'day champions. How are we? Just as soon as I decided to do a live stream, the blokes with the mowers turned up, making a racket outside. I think they're almost finished. They got the blower out. We got some jazz in the background, trying to relax and forget about the world. 6:52 a.m. on a Thursday. So what's going on? How'd the little waiting room thing work? Gets the viewer number up a little bit before I kick off. Don't mind me. I'm missing my wedding ring because my finger swelled up last week. I'm not sure what that's all about. I am still married. Sorry, everyone. I'm still off the market. So we got Richard. How you going, Richard? Mark, how you going, champions? Daniel. Robert. Hey, you're feeling a bit crook there, Richard. What's wrong with you? You got the flu or something? Coffee. So, fire up the old soldering iron. I think it's time for a new tip. I think it's time to treat myself. That tip's getting pretty worn out. It's all asymmetrical. Pete, how you going, champion? Top of the morning to you. Allergic to marriage? Oh, come on, mate. Don't be like that. Suppose it'll help if I put the overhead cam on. What have I got here? Normal use of this product is likely to expose the users to solder containing chemicals known to the state of California to cause cancer and birth defects or other reproductive harm. That's alright. Last time I checked, not in Canada. Canada? California. Fucking Canada's all over the news. That's why Freudian slip. We've got a bit of a tropical cyclone up north, and it's not going to make your poon wet though. Your poon's going to be dry, but it's going to hit between Sunshine Coast and Yamba, so a pretty big one. Category 2, I think, unless it's been upgraded. By the time it makes landfall, Category 2. So I've got family and friends up there. I've been in touch with them this morning, just last night and this morning, checking that they're, you know, all prepared and that. Of course they are. They live in bloody Queensland, mate. It's like a every year occurrence up there. Sometimes multiple times a year these days. New tip. I still haven't got the FX100. Fuck off, tube amp doctor. I'm not happy with you. Still haven't got the FX100 because I was doing some board assembly and I'm like, how much better can it be, really? It's probably great, but we'll see how we go with a new tip on the pace. So I'm making boards again. On the metro to work, half asleep thanks to late night recording with the band. On the metro. Where are you, Pete? Everything in California gives you cancer. Yeah, it seems that way. Morning, Mum. Morning, Dad. Sore hand from all that lead forming. Yeah, it's fucking tedious, isn't it? I just put on podcast yesterday and just formed all these leads. So basically it was a two-step process. First I fold them over and then I put the kink in them, make it kinky. For some of them, I'd put the kink in it before folding them over because I wanted them to be only just above the board. So I used these little lead formers. I've marked which ones I need. So this one for the 7-watt ones goes down here. It's marked with the black text there. And for the 5-watt ones goes up here. You literally just put the part on there and fold the leads over. It sits in a little notch. And you got different size for different packages. And some little midgy ones for the diodes. And ones for the other resistors. But you can use them on any parts, you know, caps, axial, anything axial. They're handy for a couple of bucks each. Makes sense. So yeah, I'd fold the leads over first and then use my lead forming pliers. Sorry, I was over at the other workstation yesterday, that's why I keep going over to over to the left or right or whatever it looks like on your screen. So I use these ones. Everyone asks about these every time I put something up, but basically they quickly form a little kinky. And then that stops them from going all the way down against the board. So you've got a bit of airflow, and if anything goes wrong with the, well, in that case, the screen grid, or in this case, anything after the screen grid node, because that's replacing a choke. It's a poor man's choke. And that resistor overheats, won't cook the board. Champions. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? We have no snow and it's in the 40s. I don't know what that means. Tell me about it. You will do better with the larger chisel tip. Oh, okay. I've got the 1.6 on there at the moment. I'll get an FX100 one day. I think I'll get rid of all the old Hakko shit and update it. I'm going to start selling maybe used test gear and used tools and equipment on my webpage. Not that the webpage gets fuck all hits because we're not the SEO champions of the world, but oh fuck, now I've said that, I'll get 50 emails a day from someone that can barely speak English offering SEO services like I do every day. The junk emails are just out of control. I get about 50 of them a day, and sometimes there's a legit one in there. I just couldn't be fucked. Even if it's a legit email at the moment, I just haven't got time to respond to anyone. So if you're sending me emails and I'm not responding, sorry. If life was easier, I'd have more time and I could respond. But until that happens, and I don't think that's ever going to happen, just can't answer you. Sorry. Need a bit of airflow in here. It's getting a bit stuffy. Shell was working here the other week, other day. I don't know. Fucking time's a social construct. And it was getting a bit sweaty down the front of the shop. So I got an old computer fan and rigged it up to a 5 volt input on a USB A plug, and she plugged that into the side of the monitor, and now she's got a little desk fan. Just had one floating around. I took your advice the other day in live streams. I didn't get the orange tube tester, but did grab a TAD bias tester for peanuts. TAD bias tester. Okay. Daniel, you can kind of, I got away for years, still kind of do, using the amp itself as at least a plate current matcher, almost like a maxi matcher. Look, you get match sets. It's pretty rare buying match sets these days that you get a massive imbalance. They're never perfectly matched, but, you know, good enough for rock and roll. And you can just test the plate current. If you've got a amplifier with 2 output valves, you can just test each side of the output transformer. If you've got an amp with 4 valves, you can test for balance. And then if it's a bit out of balance, you can swap 2 of the 4 valves over and find out which one's drawing more current, because usually it's just one that's either drawing way more or not enough. If a valve does suffer like a overcurrent, well, like a red plating, I guess, you'll find in the future that it'll actually become pretty weak. It won't have much emission, because I guess the plating and the coating on the cathode, maybe, well, I guess the plating on the plate is probably, the coating on the plate is probably boiled off. Hey Brad, Laurent from France. I discovered your channel a few weeks ago and I can't stop watching your content. Oh my god, you poor bastard. I'll put you in a padded room before you know it. And great state of mind, thanks so much. I'll try to be. when I started doing these videos regularly, I still wasn't editing because I was afraid of video editing. I knew how much time just evaporates into doing video editing, so I was really hesitant to do it to start with, which is why I started off doing the live streams primarily, because no editing, more relaxed. And I watched lots of other guys who did that too, like Lewis Rossman, and now I watch Paul Daniels, who does MacBook repair, which is cool. He does it very late at night though. It's usually just before I go to bed. Like, he's one of these night owls that works till 2 in the morning. I can't do that shit because I'm an ex-tradesman. So I'm used to waking up early and having a beer at 7 or 8 o'clock at night and then falling asleep after dinner and getting up and doing it all over again. But a lot of techs are night owls. I'm not, because I came from the tradesman background where you had to be in the city at 6 a.m. So you had to get up at 4 a.m. Don't miss that, to be honest. It was cool working on site, working at a different place every couple of days. When you finish a job, you go to the next site. And let's face it, working in the city, everyone's so hot in the city, so you just get a mad perv as well. All the office chicks, you know. Or office blokes, whatever you're into. So where was I? Yeah, so I started doing live streams regularly about 2020, right? So like about lockdown. I was doing occasional videos before that, but pretty haphazardly. And I remember vividly I was working on a Marshall MG something or other, MG20 or whatever the fuck, MG50, one of their cheapy post valve state, solid state practicey things. And it was like the first day of, I don't think it was lockdown yet for COVID, but it was becoming clear that they were going to have to take some drastic action, which may include a lockdown. And everyone was freaking the fuck out. And it was very scary at the time. And people gravitated towards my live streams because it was a regular thing where they could get their mind off the world. And let's face it, we kind of need that more now than then. So come over here, champions, and just forget about the fucking world. Grab a whiskey, grab a beer, grab a coffee, grab a joint, whatever you do. And chillax, as the millennials used to say. So, I try not to change my channel too much, you know, because people, it's like comfort food, you know. I don't want people to get fancy when you just want like chips and gravy. Well, I guess you guys in Canada would call that poutine. You just want the old comfort food, don't you? So this is that. I'm really struggling to get back to doing any edited videos, but I'm hoping. I keep telling myself once I get over this hump, things will go back to normal. But there is no end to the hump. It's just a hill, and things are getting harder, and you got to work longer and harder, and margins are getting narrower, and things are getting more expensive. So I don't think there's ever going to be an end to the hump. Things are just going to keep getting harder every year. So I don't know when I'll have time to edit videos, because at the moment I finished work at, I think I left here at 8:30 p.m. and I got here at, what, probably 6 a.m. today. I probably won't leave till 7 p.m. tonight. I'm going to meet Michelle for a pub dinner tonight, so there is an end point to my day today, whereas other times I'll just leave whenever I'm sick of it. Sadly, I may not be able to contribute so much to the good vibes. I'm so a stranger to Australian humour and wordplays. That's alright. It's one of those things you just learn via osmosis, you know? It's a bit like electronics. You constantly hear about stuff and slowly things sink in. You remember terms and then you go, hang on, what is a degeneration resistor? And then you look it up, and because you've heard it so many times, now you've looked it up, it stays in your head. So things like that are similar with language, because essentially electronics is just a language, yeah? There's know exactly right or wrong way of doing things, but there is a general set of rules that if you stick to, you should have decent success. I'm talking analog here. With digital, there is definite rules. My wife is currently on call with a Corpo peeps. It's Aussie voices all over the house. Oh, look out. Not so much a date night, Mark. Just catching up for a steak because, like, she's been out of town in Canberra for the last day, 2 days, and then I get out of bed while she's still asleep, and she comes home when I'm asleep on the couch. We barely fucking see each other. It should be like a real, should like role play it, you know, as if we're like strangers meeting up. Because we practically fucking are. And netball season hasn't even started yet. That's when it goes to real stranger things. Stranger things? 2 months till you go to your surgery. 2 months to go till your surgery. What's your surgery again, Mark? Was that something to do with your back? Osmosis is one of my favourite terms. Also, channels like this pass on interesting and useful information by pathogenesis. I think you mean pathogenesis. I do remember doing an experiment with osmosis back at school where they gave us a tube that looked a bit like a condom but open-ended. But it was like cellophane, and we put like salt water in it and then put it in fresh water, or vice versa. I think we put salt water in the container and then put fresh water inside the tube, and then it showed that the salt actually went through the membrane into the other one until it reached equilibrium, and that's how I learned about chemical like osmosis, because I did chemistry back in high school. Really should have gone to university, and then I wouldn't be sitting here trying to make a living putting resistors in a fucking board. But anyway. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. You've only got one life, eh? See if your whole pickup lines still work at that pub. Oh, if she's with me, she must be pretty easy. Alright, I can turn my desoldering tool down, because I don't need that. I'm going to crank up the temperature on the soldering iron and see how she does. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to turn that off for the moment, because we've still got to place all our components. Oop. That's the one I'm looking for. So where's my camera? I just put it back up after getting it out of the way for something else, so it's probably not in the optimum position, but anyway. Let's get a bit more light happening, and let's make the color balance a bit less cold. Oh, I don't know, does that look alright? Ugh. Ugh. Does that look alright? No. Yeah, I think we were better off to start with. So it doesn't look like much, does it? But there is, in this batch of boards, I'm doing 30 at the moment because I realised I was short on parts after I started assembling a few. So for this batch of components, this batch of boards that I'm doing at the moment, there's 5,500 parts to form an insert. So yeah, pretty time consuming. I do have another batch of components ready to complete all of the boards on hand. And then I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to offer the bare boards, because there's many pitfalls to doing that, because people don't take responsibility for their own actions. So if they fuck something up, they'll instantly try and blame me and get free shit, because people are scum these days. But if I do offer them, I'm going to disclaimer the living fuck out of it and link it to a forum where people with more spare time than I can help people out, because I just can't. Hey, the Porkshop Express. Thank you, champion. Brad, during tonight's pub dinner with the missus, have a beer on me. Thank you, sir. Australian $10. Once YouTube takes their cut, that actually will be a schooner at happy hour, $6. They take about 30-40% of fuckers, but you know, they do have a lot of overheads. What did the rocket scientist say about dating the brain surgeon? Yep, okay, lay it on me, Pete. What did the rocket scientist... Oh, hang on, that's some guy saying that. Some guy. He hasn't given me the punchline. What did the rocket scientist say about dating the brain surgeon? So that one's popped. Been waiting a long time since first time I saw the neurosurgeon was on May 5th, 2024. Jesus, it's a year ago. My surgery is May 5th, 2025. Been living, not living for a year. Shit. Okay, so Mark probably answered what the surgery was further up. Oh, g'day Connor. Tanner. Sorry. I was reading something else. Robbie, Gooden, Victor, how you going, legend? Alright, let's get into this, eh? So you can see there how the resistor sits. Spread the leads underneath to hold it captive. That's already pretty tight before I've even soldered it. There's no real movement there, just from folding the leads over, like so. So that will hold it there until I solder it. So I start with all the small components. In hindsight, yeah, talking to Dad, I should have put the resistors in first, but not the end of the world. It's still okay, but it holds them against the board a bit better. But it's not the end of the world if there's a tiny bit of air under these resistors, because they're very low mass items, so they're not going to vibrate and break their leads. It's only the larger items that you got to worry about that, and these ones have thicker leads anyway. At the moment, everything is under the height of the quick connects. See these terminals? So the boards can still sit on top of each other, so I've got them stacked up. I do that on purpose, so I can just have them stacked in piles like this to make the assembly area a bit more compact, because when you start putting the tall, large components in, they don't sit on top of each other, so you've got to spread them out. And I've got a 4 meter, is it 4 meter? No, it's like 6 meter long bench here. So I've got like 2 6 meter long benches. And 6 meter? It's about 5 meter. I don't know what it is. Anyway. So I can lay all the boards out and populate them one by one. But I'll get the preamp valve sockets in beforehand, because they sit under that level as well. So we'll get everything we can in there before we start putting the tall shit in, because that means that it makes them a lot more unwieldy, and you gotta rethink your assembly area and how you set up your workspace. But in the meantime, we can just have them in piles, load them up, and pile them into the next pile, and not have to move around too much. Now I've formed all the leads downward from the like the value printing, so at a glance you can see what value they are. I think that's a nice little thing to do for future techs. Now I've got about, I don't know, 15 of these out in the wild now, and I haven't heard anything back, like anything negative. So I dare say everyone's happy. They were thoroughly tested before dispatch. But I may reach out to the people who ordered the first batch and just go, look, everything going alright? How did it go? Is there any misunderstanding with any of the instructions that I provided? Is there anything in the documentation that could use improvement from your point of view? Blah, blah, blah. I already noticed a few errors and a few omissions of parts on my bill of materials, like the flyback flyback diodes. R5000F series. One goes there, one goes there. So I've got them on order. And there was a part that ended up on back order that I missed. So normally when I order stuff, it gives you a warning if there's stuff on back order. So you got an opportunity to find an equivalent that can ship immediately. And generally I do that, but I must have missed one. And one of the resistors or something ended up on back order. So we are waiting on a couple of parts. I ordered them last week, so they should be here maybe tomorrow, maybe today. Coming from Mouser. Depends on the component sizes. Usually just glob some solder for dips and clean up with the braid. Yeah, you're talking about surface mount. When you said dip, I think you mean SOIC. Because dual inline package is a through-hole package. So we're coming up to the 10,000 subscriber day on Sunday. I don't know what we're going to do for it. I don't really feel like working on Sunday. But I've probably got no choice at this point because I'm so far behind. I'm just permanently behind, and everyone is telling me that I should work harder and longer, and I don't see any way that would be possible without me dying. So I think everyone's just got to fucking wait. SOICT TSSOP. Yeah, so that's called drag soldering, and they do make tips specifically for that have like a little solder dimple in the end, in the tip. You just got to make sure you use a shit ton of flux when you drag solder, because it's quite a large surface area, and the flux in the solder core is not adequate. So you need some liquid flux. I use gel flux because it sort of stays where I put it. There's plenty of good ones out there. This is like the first one I tried, and I don't know, it worked okay. Chem Tools Australia. I don't know if it's made in Australia or not, but just down the road in St. Mary's, I could bloody drive there and pick it up. Flux gel, CT, let's zoom in. That's what I use for the surface mount stuff. CT NCFP S10PT. Date of manufacture 2020. Fuck, I've had that for a while. I do have a spare tube of that somewhere as well. But yeah, once you find a decent flux, you sort of tend to stick with it and just keep using it, because if it works, you stick with what you know. How you going, Frankie boy? What's up, brother? Weema film caps 630 volt 0.22 are missing. I need 60. Oh well, fuck. I'll just film him. Just use what you got, and I'll send you some more if you want. I did count them out. I don't know how we're short. I counted them. This is what I was worried about. This is why I didn't want to do it, because all the logistics of handling this shit is a fucking pain in the ass. You pretty much need to do it in-house. So yeah, I sent Dad 10 boards to knock up as well. Well, he took them with him when he was here. Tried to pick out all the components, but honestly, I've spent fucking hours counting out parts for those just 10 boards. It's a real pain in the ass. That's why I'll never offer kits, because fuck that. Fuck that. I am not sitting there putting fucking parts into bags and then realising I'm one short and having an angry customer whinging about a 3-cent part that's not there, that they could fucking buy for a cent, and then giving bad Google reviews and shit. No, fuck that. Not going down that road, because everyone wants their problem to become your problem, and like, yeah, no, not a chance. So it'll be a matter of, if I do offer the bare boards, you get a bill of materials for Mouser, and if you don't buy every fucking thing on that bill of materials, all bets are off. You're not getting any help. If you try and reuse parts from the old board or some shit like that, try and be a fucking cheapskate, you're on your own, buddy. I'll be asking for a invoice from Mouser and DigiKey, because some of the parts aren't available from Mouser. They don't seem to stock the EH series headers, whereas DigiKey do stock them in larger numbers. If you can't provide me an invoice with every single fucking part on it, all bets are off. There is no bag of those caps. Fucking. I remember putting them in the bag. I remember picking them out. I remember counting them on the bench and putting them in the bag. I had the list and I ticked it off on the list. They are on the list, so I don't know if the bag's gone missing. Certainly not here. Or did I put the bag back in the fucking box with my shit? Yeah, I remember picking them out. That ain't them. Oh, you know what? There's the bag. There she is. I've written the note on there, channel 2 and 3. Line 3. Line item. 2 and 3 channel board. Line item 3. There's your caps. Fuck's sake. They've gone back into the supply pile. Anyway, now we know what happened. I'm less frustrated. I often don't care what went wrong. I just want to know what it was. Nothing pisses me off more than in production something going missing or something not being right and just having no answer as to why that occurred. Nothing pisses me off more than that. Like, you've done everything right, but it's still wrong. And then everyone blames you for being shit when you've followed all the guidelines to the wire and something's still gone wrong. And no one wants to give you the time to figure it out. They just want you to fix it. So that adds to the stress levels. This has all taken me back to like the joinery shit fight that I used to battle with every day. Something's gone wrong. I don't care, just fix it. It's like, well, I need to fucking find out what's wrong, what caused it, in order to not have it happen again, because there was no signal at all at the time of conception that there was any issue. So if I just put the thing into production again, the same fucking thing's going to happen until I figure out what's happened. You can't just say do it again. Like, it's not, I'm not fucking painting a house. I'm programming a CNC machine. But, you know, they never understood that shit. They just do it. Just do it properly, you fucking dickhead. Not up to speed. What are these boards for? These are boards for the JCM 2000 series amplifiers. PCB upgrade, because the original factory PCBs become conductive over time. Massive fuck up on Marshall's behalf. Got to feel a bit bad for them, because they don't get their own PCBs manufactured in-house. Surely they use a subcontractor or whatever to manufacture them. So they kind of got screwed there, but they also were very dishonest about the problem and didn't give people refunds or recalls, and actually charged a fucking lot of money for the replacement boards, even though it was a manufacturing fault. They should have sued the PCB manufacturer, and then they should have used the money that they sued them, that they won when they sued them, because they should have won, to produce replacement boards and have them installed free of charge in every amplifier they built. But they weaseled out of it, It should have been a class action. But musicians are impossible to organise into a class action because they're all very unorganised people. So it never happened. Marshall got away with it and made a lot of money making subpar quality replacement boards. Took them up to revision 20 to get all the issues sorted. However, I don't think there was a revision between revision 10 and 20. I think they just went up by 10 for some reason. There's videos on this on my channel. Look up Green Board of Death and that will demonstrate the issue. There are lots of people that claim to have quick, cheap fixes for these. None of them work. If they do work temporarily, they get to collect their money and then offer a 30-day, 90-day warranty. And then the problem reoccurs later. And then you're on your own. You can drill out sections of the board. You can run wires in mid-air. You can do all sorts of shit. But the problem eventually spreads throughout the entire board. You end up with... I have seen the channels trying to switch at 50 Hertz, which is the heater voltage. Yeah, it was the heater voltage was leaking and triggering the FETs, and yeah, all sorts of shit was going on. I've seen all sorts of issues other than the bias issue. Crosstalk, oscillation, channel switching issues, you name it. So anyone that says they've got a quick and easy fix for the original board, they either haven't dug into the problem deep enough, or they're trying to take your money and not offer you any real solutions. Trust me, champions, I would not have fucking spent the time making these things if there was an easier solution. Because I am so time strapped all the time. I wouldn't have sat down, designed and produced these things if there was an easier solution. Trust me. There are fucking easier ways to make money than making these things. G'day Lyle, how you going, legend? It's nice rain in LA at the moment. That's good. Replace some NTE parts for my antiquated test equipment. Now NTE is totally... Really? NTE is out of business? And you still had to finish building the replacement boards they sold. Ah, yeah. Because the boards... When Marshall sold the boards, they used that stupid white hot melt glue that doesn't stick to fuck all. It just forms a bead that sits on top. So the caps were sitting a good millimetre above the board, rocking around. And we're talking large capacitors. So you'd have the ashdown problem of all your snap-on caps breaking their solder connections or snapping their leads. Then you'd have capacitors. Oh, fuck, just mashed up the leads. You'd have capacitors installed in the wrong orientation. So, and one of them was in the bias supply, I believe. Lyle found. I found one as well. You had solder touch-ups on dry solder joints that hadn't really fixed the dry solder joints. They were through-plated boards, but they were just... The pads were tiny, the traces were tiny, there was no need for that shit, and a lot of the components weren't seated against the board. Now, a lot of people are saying, why don't you just get an assembly house to make these? It's like, there's a lot of things in electronics that aren't just snap your fingers. Oh, just do that. That's easy. Problem solved. Press a button. Done. It's not like that. It's fucking... You do that, you're going to end up with a board about the same quality as the Marshall replacements. And you're going to be fixing up every second one of them. Even maybe every one of them. Do you really think the assembly houses are going to form leads just like this and put them in this certain manner? I doubt it. Or if they do, they'll do it for a while and then they'll go, ah, this takes too long, and they'll just not do it. And they'll play dumb and they'll hide behind a language barrier. And I know everyone gets boards manufactured every day, but this is high voltage, high current, high heat, critical environment. When you're designing a fucking Raspberry Pi hat or shield, whatever the fuck they call it, the stakes are considerably lower. You got 5 volts max, you got fuck all current, fuck all heat. Valve amplifiers are an incredibly hostile environment towards their components. And the design and assembly of a board needs to reflect that and mitigate the issues where possible. A lot of that happens in the assembly stage, which we're at the moment. So we can see, just a quick look. I've got the dropper resistors up in the air. So if any of the preamp nodes has a short circuit, they overheat, you're not going to burn the board. And they get airflow, and they're 2 watt. Same deal with the, as you see, the screen resistor. I've even done that with the diodes. So they're above the board, so they will have some airflow. I am, on the next revision, going to replace all of these with a bridge rectifier. So that's just one part to insert, just quicker. The heater balance resistors down here, I've done the same thing, because if you get a cathode follower, cathode to heater short, basically an HT to heater short, they can burn. It can also happen in the output valves. They are fusible resistors, so they will blow a lot more gracefully. You got to love a graceful blow, but they will still possibly char the board if they did go open circuit. So a lot of this is probably overly cautious. I could probably put the diodes against the board, and I could probably put them against the board. I've got the cathode current sense resistors. They're 1 watt metal film, 1%, 1%, 5%. They are up above the board as well, because if you get a short circuit in one of the output valves, they'll go open. But again, they're metal film safety resistors. So they tend to go open circuit in quite a graceful fashion, rather than the carbon films and stuff, which love to go, well, set fire to themselves quite viciously. Or even worse, the carbon compositions, which just sit there and burn like a piece of charcoal on your fucking barbecue. Yeah. Barnfind Princeton. Yeah, I just watched that. Well, I had a look at, I previewed it. I slid the slider across just to see how horrible it was, but I'll watch that later on. It looks like it had termites in it. If you want a new cabinet, Lyle, I can send you one. It'll only cost like, you know, $500 postage. Juan. Joe. Is it Joe's birthday? Where's Joe say it's his birthday? Hang on, I need to go to the YouTube page. Joe. Just turned 62 yesterday, you legend. My sister took me to an authentic German restaurant. Man, it was good. German can be great if you're in the mood. Just like tons of fucking meat. I love it. Used to go every birthday almost to, well, it was called the Lowenbrow. Löwenbräu in Sydney, CBD. And I'd eat a pork knuckle with Schweinshaxen and a couple of litres of beer. And then we'd go out and drink a couple more litres of beer. I don't know how back then I'd eat a pork knuckle the size of my fucking head. We'd probably have 2 litres of beer before that. And then we'd have probably 2 litres of beer after that each. And then we'd go out drinking beers for the rest of the night. Where did I put it all? Now, these days, if I eat something, like even a relatively small meal, like, I don't know, say chicken skewers, I don't really feel like much beer after that. I don't know how I ate a whole pork knuckle and then had like 5 litres of beer before we left the restaurant. Hollow legs, I guess they say. Hollow legs. That was when I was like, I don't know, 20, something like that. But they had the competition where you had to hammer the nails into the log, and whoever won got like a free meal or something, free meal voucher. And the beer drinking contest, But they used like light beer or non-alcoholic beer, so you didn't get fucking shit faced from sculling a 1 litre stein. Then they had upstairs at this restaurant, they had a nightclub that they called the Uber Bar. But doesn't Uber just mean very? So it's like very bar. I thought Uber just meant very or very much or something. Who knows what it fucking means these days. Where's Parko? He can translate for me. At 20, your metabolism can melt lead. Super. It means super. Okay. Over or superior. Okay, so super bar. Okay, well that makes sense. Okay, what have I done? For some reason there's more in that pile than the other one. Have I mixed up some 2 and 3 channels? What have I done? Oh no, it's because the new resistors make them sit higher, so it's the same amount of boards. Never mind, never mind. Uber is like above. Okay, so it's like a... Well, I guess that makes sense because it was upstairs. If you're ever in Vienna, pay a visit to Schweizer House in Prater? Amazing pork knuckles and huge glasses of beer. Let's try and find, champions, the little fucking dungeon bar I went to in Munich. I met my mate there because he was traveling the world. I reckon I can remember just looking at the map where it was, even though it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago! Fuck, it feels like yesterday. Google Maps. Did you like my title? Meat-based pick and plays. I thought it was funny. Alright. Munich. Munchen. So, we were right in the middle. Right in the guts. Where's the train station? There it is. So, we were here. Bayer Street. We're walking down here. I think I met him here. He was walking up this street. So around here somewhere is that cool bar. Munich. Beer hall? No, let's... Bar? I don't know. Pub? What's that one? That looks a bit too classy yet. That ain't it. Old pub? Old historic pub? I don't know. The Old Irish? No. Pub. Pub? Do they call it pub? I don't know. Probably not. No, only the Irish is called pubs. Was it a brewery too? I think it was a brewery as well. The old internet does not like life. Beer. Maybe I'll just write beer. Beer. Augustina. Historic brewery, is that it? No. I've been to the Augustina Keller. That's like the outdoor one. Everyone goes there. Ooh, is that it? No. No, it's too big. It was tiny. Via. Augustina Brau. Is that it? That was the same one. Oh no, it's different. There's the Augustina Keller. We went there. See how it's like a forest? It's like one massive beer garden, man. And it's like you line up like you're lining up for a ride. But they give you like tickets and then you buy beers with the tickets. We were extremely hungover there. And then we drank beers and we were fine. And then we got back into it. That's what you do. I'm not sure. Maybe we were facing the other direction. It was very close to the station. I remember that much. Ooh, was that it? No, that looks too fresh. It was like you had the duct to go in the door because the ceiling was that low and it was all like big timber beam. Everything was timber and it was real dark. It was fucking awesome. I don't know. I really want to go back there though. I don't think we walked that far up, but it was before I sort of relied on Google Maps for everything too. Because it's like 2015, it was still a bit shit. Can't find it. Damn it. I did find it once before. I remember, because sometimes when you've done stuff in the past that was like when you're in maybe a bit of a hazy state of mind, you think 10 years later you're like, did I actually do that, or did I just literally fabricate that memory? And then when you actually realise the place exists and yes, you were there, you feel a bit vindicated, you know. Good times, good times. Anyway, I'll look for that later. Ratskiller? Restaurant had HB on tap. Definitely going back. See you, Andy. Take it easy, legend. Augustina makes incredible beer. What I can't figure out is for Oktoberfest, they make a special Oktoberfest beer, but it's stronger. Like it'd be the other way around in Australia. Like we go to music festivals and all you can get is like 3.5% beers, so that no one gets pissed. You can still get on your way. Like you've got to smash them all fucking day, but yeah, you get like lighter beers for events here because Australians can't be trusted with alcohol. Whereas in Europe, it's like, hey, fucking ride a bicycle with no helmet on while you're smoking a cigarette and drinking a wine out of the bottle. You know, no one even bats an eyelid. It's fucking awesome. You were 20 yesterday, yeah. Feels like that, doesn't it? We stayed at the Hotel Schlicker, directly across from the plaza from the historic Munich town hall. The one that was festooned with certain unmentionable flags in the 1930s and 40s. Well, you might have that in your own country soon, Gooden. Good times. Bockbier. Bockbier. He's at the pub? What are we talking about? Do you need me to jump in on that speaker question, Lyle, or you got it down? You got it sussed. You can buy those speaker gaskets. Yeah, don't know, but you can probably get the cork ones. You can definitely get the foam ones. In fact, I've got a bunch of them here because with the WGS speakers, they don't know if you're going to mount them face out or face in. So they supply some thin foam ones in case you install the speaker from the outside of the cabinet. But it comes pre-installed with the cork ones on the cone side, and often that's how fenders and stuff are installed. So you end up with this excess of the inner gaskets, which I'll just chuck in a little box up there, but I end up throwing out after a while because I end up with like 10 of them. in Oktoberfest. They don't want to weed out any weenies early in the game. Ah, okay. So those who are not sloshed at 4 PM will likely behave during the shows. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they get you proper pissed by 4 PM, and then you can just fuck off and get out of their way, I guess. So the people who drink less stupidly get to enjoy the entire day. That makes sense, I guess. And get rid of the lightweights, or the just not necessarily lightweights, but the dickheads who drink too fast, like the who was the guy out of Super Troopers? Father. Father. Open bar, dude. German pub is a Ratskeller. Ratseller, I assume. The oldest original still operational Ratskeller in Germany was across the plaza from the hotel. That hotel had an awesome continental brekkie. Ratskeller. That does ring a bell. I wonder if that's what it was called. Something Ratskeller. We went to Schloss Neuschwanstein. Everyone's got to go there. So Michelle told me. We went to the Glockenspiel, which I had no idea what to expect, because Shell didn't really describe it to me very well. I'm like, what the fuck? What? I'm thinking of Glockenspiel, like the instrument. I'm like, what? The Glockenspiel? Yeah, you can buy the cork material set, but it comes as a continuous sheet for like rocker cover gaskets and shit, and it's a pretty delicate profile to cut a surround gasket. I know you could do it, but we're talking about things that don't take fucking 10 hours. What plate voltage do you like on a 50 watt plexi? I've only ever encountered ones with, you know, 480-ish volts. But I hear very good things about the lower plate voltage versions. Lyle, you could expand on that. That's one of your favourite amps, isn't it? 50 watt plexi with low plate voltage, 1987. And what kind of plate voltages are we seeing on those ones, Lyle? Yeah, Schloss Neuschwanstein, we were there. Someone got pushed off a cliff there or something a couple of months ago? Like murdered? Oh, great, now I'll get demonetized because I said the M word. 425, 290 on the freeze. 425. That's Scotty. So after I've inserted all these, 425 isn't low. 3. Yeah, I thought it was in the 3s. 360 to 380 is the low B plus range, right? So 425 will be, seems a bit low. Normally say like 470-ish. 475. Maybe that's because they're wound for 220 volt. I don't know. Some of them have 480 to 500, which is nuts. Well, that's kind of what I regularly see over here, Scotty. Sort of the high 400s. That's often, I think, why they put out like 60 watts-ish, or like 120 watts on the 100 watt versions. I have been upping the screen grid resistors on like everything these days, because I'm so sick of valves failing fucking prematurely, because the screen grids seem to be really pissy these days. So even on these boards, I'm upgrading them to 2.2K, 5 watt. They could probably be 3 watt, to be honest, but that way if someone wants to go back to the 1K, they can do it themselves. I don't care, but this will give their EL34s half a chance of living more than fucking 6 months. It always seems to be a screen grid failure. And every amp that I've upgraded them to 2.2K has lasted a lot longer. Even with being abused on a fucking attenuator. You do get slightly less output power. Like, these things normally put out around 90 watts, 98 or 95-ish watts. So they put out like 85, 90 with the screen grids dropped, lifted a bit. But, you know, it's fuck all in a big ship, eh? If it sounds good, it is good, definitely. I like 2.2 to 2.7. Is that on EL34s there, Frankie? You get nicer touch sensitivity. I find it, you're splitting hairs. Like, you only notice it when you're really pushing the fucking thing. And 9 times out of 10, people are running these things at like 30, 40 watts, you know, like they're barely pushing the output stage and they're using the master volume. Because they've got a fucking 4x12. I'll call it a quad box here, but apparently no one in the States calls it a quad box. That's just an Australian thing, which I wasn't aware of until Jace Headfirst and Davo were talking about it. Apparently no one here calls them quad boxes. No one there calls them quad boxes. Start calling them quad box, because it sounds fun. It's fun to say. Quad box, quad box, quad box. Quad box. It sounds like some prize that you get in a secret room of a game. Oh, I found the quad box. First person shooter. It's the quad box room. So what do we want to do on Sunday, champions? Because I'm going to kick it off. I was initially set it for 7 AM and I thought, what the fuck what did I do that for? 7 AM on a Sunday? No, thank you. So I set it to 10. So then if we want to go for a beer, we can at midday. I was thinking about, I don't know, going into the city and saying 6, but he's working on Sunday, so that might be a bit boring. Kind of want to just drag him out of the shop, go over to the Duke and have a beer. Then I was going to do like guest spots, right? So I was going to get StreamYard, figure that out, get it purring, and then have a bunch of legends join us. We don't necessarily have to do that in the workshop though. I could do that at home in the backyard. Do it at the pub. Everything's mobile these days, champions, so we can have a bit of fun with it. Fuck, just paid 25 bucks for British screws, got the wrong size. Ah! According to the charts and digital calipers, 6BA was what I needed, but these are much too big. Fucking hell, what a pain in the ass. Dealing with threads and international fucking screws is a pain in the ass, man. So in Australia with the vintage, well now they're vintage, with the classic cars in Australia, we had to deal with like Whitworth, metric, a whole bunch of stuff all in the one vehicle. Because, you know, some parts would be made in Japan, other parts would be fucking made in Britain, blah, blah, blah. So what you kind of have to do is get what they call a thread detective. There's a few companies that make sort of their equivalent, but it's basically got a male and female thread in every fucking size imaginable. So you can actually test the screw and determine exactly what thread it is, because you got thread pitch, you got thread depth, you got fucking the diameter, you got a lot of different factors all combining to make the one. This is a blah screw, you know. Like trying to find grub screws to suit saddles for all the different guitars was fun. Because of course Fender don't want you to find them for 3 cents each. They want you to buy the $20 pack of 2. So they don't quote the fucking thread pitch or anything, all the standardized measurements anyway. They just quote a Fender part number because they're, you know, Fender. But then when you determine the thread, you can buy a pack of these things for like 5 cents, right? Like 100 of them for like $5. You know, I'm exaggerating, but you don't have to pay the Fender tax. Because fuck that, Fender have enough money. They don't need yours too. Just for some screws that aren't even fucking stainless. Printer ink. Getting the right toner cartridge and stuff. You know another thing that's a pain in the ass? The shelving, you know, the shelving in your fridge that holds the bottles and stuff in the door, and the condiments. When they break, they know that you're fucked for a replacement because it's got that specific mold shape. So they charge you like $300 for a little piece of plastic. Thieving bastards. And the fridge itself is worth like $900. It's like, Jesus. Okay. Looks like that, is it? You know, one place that's good for finding vintage fasteners and brass screws and stuff like that is just garage sales, man. Often there'll be deceased estates with you know, these old timers that had just jars and jars and jars of these screws and fasteners and stuff, and sometimes you find fucking solid gold in there, eh? You find the kind of brass screws that you find on the vintage amps and the radio gear. You might find a bucket of fucking radio knobs that you can sell for like $12 each and $20 each on eBay, because if you need that specific type to match a unit, you kind of got your back against the wall. You kind of just got to pay whatever it's worth if you need it to look authentic. You find all these little jars of, usually 99% of it's useless shit. Like they've got a jar of fucking flathead tacks. Like, what the fuck do we use them for these days, unless you're an upholsterer, in which case you probably use a staple gun. But you might find like a jar of, yeah, these brass screws and nuts and bolts and stuff, which is fantastic if you're doing up vintage stuff like stationary engines or whatever. See you, Frankie. Take it easy, brother. Don't work too hard. No good for anyone. Found the replacement screws that cost $3 a piece from the manufacturer at 10 kilograms, 10 per kilogram in the hardware store. Do they still do them by weight over there? That's fucking, that's charming. Gringo Pig, how you going, fella? Seen a couple of your videos recently. Good work. Fender screws, self-explanatory. Fender does screw. Alright, last board, and then we'll do some soldering. Get rid of these excess leads before we start on the capacitors, the crapacitors. Got to put the film caps, then the electro caps and the valve sockets, and then we're done. About freaking time. Doing the resistors and the diodes and stuff, it's not very rewarding. Like, there's a lot of hours going to looking like you haven't done much, which is quite disheartening. But as soon as you start putting the caps and the valve sockets and stuff in, things look a lot more satisfying. It's more dopamine inducing is what I'm telling you. Do we want to do the valve sockets too? I guess we could. They're not going to get in the way. and that'll empty another bag. How you going, Scotty? What's going on, brother? Are you on the road or what? You got some time off? 8:02 AM, still got an hour till I got open, so that's good. I'll just put these excess resistors away. Scotty, I see the bloody Screaming Jets pages get smashed by fucking Facebook's like fake accounts and scams and shit, eh? We've got like friend requests from, you know, asterisk, space, you know, underscore Dave the real personal Gleason or something .com. Facebook are fucked for that. They promote the scams because it comes up as engagements and it props up their stock price because it looks like more people are using it than actually are, because 80% of them are fucking fake accounts and scammers. McMaster is my go-to, but not for British cheeseheads. Hey, I'm a British cheesehead. British cheesehead. Is that the same type that's on... What are they for, Lyle? Is that the ones that are on the rear cover of an AC30? Off on another fishing adventure. Fuck yeah. I need more coffee. Constant battle for them. Short answer is Facebook are fucked. Yep. Yep. Alrighty then. 6-fingered triple bosom friend request. That sounds alright. Saw a couple of sex bots got through on Lyle's channel on his last live stream. They were fucking talking to each other. They were like automated AI fucking bullshit, you know, just burn another fucking tree down to provide that conversation between two bots. I don't know how they got in, Lyle. You had your chat set to subscribers only, because I could see the notification there. So they must have figured out how to subscribe, and then they started talking to each other, and it was in like Thai. And it was just gobbledygook shit. But yeah, I blocked both the accounts. I haven't seen it again since, but it's a bit scary that two of them got in somehow. Because if that is happening, then maybe we'll just get smashed by... It'll just make the whole platform useless, and then everyone will just leave. Liz, how you going, Liz? What's happening? I'd love to show you some fire, but same old story. I've got the fucking fire extinguisher, fire detector above me. Let's get soldering. Got the BOFA. I guess I could show fire with the BOFA. The BOFA can take up the fumes. Is that too loud? That's alright, Lyle. That's what I'm there for, mate. AI is only going to make it worse. Yeah, AI is going to make everything worse, man. I love it how, like, the conservatives are like... Oh, fuck, here we go. We're getting into politics. How the conservatives, like, want to take everything back to, like, 1920s, except for AI. Like, want to go back to our traditional values, but we're going to flood you with AI. Thanks for that, champs. They're only interested in capital. Everything else is second. Always got to follow the money, champions. I took uBlock Origin off the store. I've only ever used Firefox, so I've never really needed it, to be honest. Plus, I just have a YouTube Premium account. Primo. Be nice if it gave you a discount on movies, though. Like, if you got a Premium account, you get like 20% off movies. I don't think you do at the moment. But why would they do that? Give you things for cheaper. It's a bit silly, isn't it? I use it in Firefox too. I hate ads, period. Yeah. Tell me all. So I've been trying to go through and like when I do a live stream, I disable mid-roll ads by default, but because YouTube want their fucking pound of flesh out of their advertisers, they re-enable it automatically. So I've got to actually go in and after the fact go back and disable it manually every time I fucking release a live stream. I think it was Dr. Frankenstein was the one that kept sending me emails. I'm getting ads. It's like, just get a YouTube premium account, bro. Gotta be careful with these. Sometimes they're not aligned, and if you force them in, they bend over. Bend over. I know that bloke. Always walked funny. Don't know why. Look at that. See, that's satisfying. You put them in, looks like you've done something now. Dopamine. Right here, in the fields. Building shit is extremely fun. When you're not 6 months behind on what you normally do. Anyway. That gives a nice satisfying click when you click them in. It's like playing Lego. Click. No, I don't mind these Beltons. I've never seen one give issues. And for the preamps, they do make sense. They're nice and compact. Sturdily mounted. But then it gives you the slight challenge. You got to figure out a way to secure the valve itself. So you could use a shield. You could just have it protruding through the chassis. Whereas with chassis mounted valve sockets, you've always got the option for a shielded one, which even if it's not susceptible to noise, it protects the valve and retains it. I wish they made the Beltons with the ventilation slots though. Like the old, I think they were Brimar or someone made them. That you'd find them on the old Voxes and stuff. The shields had little windows in them, so it allowed a bit more airflow. Not that, you know, preamp valves generate a lot of heat, but every little bit helps. That's what she said. Clickety clack. Don't talk smack. It is oddly satisfying, isn't it, Goody Guitars? It's very satisfying. I'll give you a bit more ASMR, hang on. Oh, pleasurable. Click. This is what you come here for, eh? Just add more cooling pins to the chassis like Messer. I had some dickhead take me to task on that the other day. Oh, you don't know anything? They're there to dissipate heat. I'm like, yeah, from that fucking preamp end where there's no real significant heat in the chassis, and even then, anyway, there's no point responding to Messer fans. You just ignore them. It's like responding to the guy that's yelling obscenities at the train platform. Like, you don't make eye contact with a Messer obsessive. You just walk away and hope they don't notice you. What's the current state of 12AX7 EL? Oh, geez, you don't ask much, do you, Jimmy Mac? At the moment, 12AX7, I've still got old stock of Tube Amp Doctor. That's one, seems to be the one valve they got right. The 12AX7 WA-R, known by the code RT006. That's the SKU. They were extremely good quality, consistent, and very quiet. I have no reason to believe that that's changed. However, I don't trust anything from Tube Amp Doctor at the moment. So I've gone back to JJ's for ECC83s and 12AX7s. Pretty much all the preamp valves. You get the occasional one that's slightly noisy, just mix and match. Use a noisy one in a phase inverter or a trem drive or something like that, and that gets you by. As for EL34 at the moment, JJ's as well, EL34 or EL34-2 or L. They seem to be back to being reasonably consistent. EL84s, JJ's or Electro Harmonics. I'm not a fan of anything Russian at the moment though, so I'm trying to avoid Electro Harmonics wherever I can. However, they are relatively reliable in all circuits where they're not abused. In a Vox AC30 running as historically correct, you're going to fucking destroy them. They're not going to last more than 12 months. Unless you bring that dissipation down below like 160% that it's normally at. And increase the screen grid resistors to 1.5k 3 or 2 watt, sorry. All of the valves these days, I'm modifying the stock circuits to have greater screen grid resistance. If it's a historically significant amp, I'll allow the customer to make that decision, but tell them that your valve life will be compromised if you leave them at the stock values, because valves don't have screen grids as strong as they used to. So as always, no simple answer. We did a bunch of code testing with AI and found it was highly suspect, making up functions that don't exist, syntax errors everywhere. Yep. Took more time to error check, correct than if it coded by hand in the first place. Yeah, well, that's probably why everything's going to start not really working. Because people are just relying on AI to program shit. So things will just break all the time, consistently, everywhere, in all aspects of life. Because they just want maximum profit, minimum effort. This homeless guy went through my trash bin and took out all the beer bottles, but he wasn't able to get any money for them because each bottle had a lime wedge in it. Oh, I feel bad for him. So you're a Corona drinker then, Goody Guitars. The beer that requires lemon to be palatable. Lime, sorry. Lime is better. You can use lemon if you want. Move the noisiest ones to LFO duties, exactly. LFO or driver, even PI. Anything where there's not a hell of a lot of voltage gain, you'll be right. Or just even anything that does have voltage gain but is later on in the circuit where there's not a fuck ton of gain after it. My cat is trying to become a coder at this very instant. Your bottom is getting dangerously close to the keyboard. Gross. Hey Brad, have you had any luck fixing snapped locating pins, keys on tubes? Got a quad of old mullards that all have snapped plastic. Damn. You can get replacement valve bases, so let's have a look. Where's an old shitty valve? Where's something that's blown up? You? No, you work, you're just unmatched. You? Yeah, you conduct, but you look cooked. So you can remove the bases and reinstall new ones. The tricky part is getting a glue that will fit to the base. If it's an old one, chances are it's already cracked that joint, but you should be able to... You've got to put the different tip on. Anyway, fuck doing it. You can actually desolder the bases. If you just trying to think of a way that I can show this. Those pins are hollow, and there's a wire that comes out of the base, passes through, and then they just solder the wire to the end there and cut it off flush. So you can desolder all of those pins, and if you can break that glue joint there, you can take the base off and replace the base, because you can buy these bases separately as replacements, and you can replace the base. If you do have the keys, you can sometimes glue them back on with cyanoacrylate. I prefer medium viscosity because it can do a little bit of gap filling as well. The super thin stuff needs to be like either have a substance added to it, like what does everyone use? Bicarbonate of soda, or you need to use slightly thicker glue. So you can get the valve bases, I believe, from CE Distribution, a few other places. Sometimes they might be a little bit taller, but yeah, you can get them. You can get them. Speaking of valves, did a bit of horse trading with a bloke yesterday. And got a couple of these bad boys. There's a Katie 8080, Katie 88, made in UK. Tested them all, they're all good, strong emission, and I was able to make some sets up within a milliamp or less. There's a couple of them, about a dozen that I could put in a set, a bunch of these. Couple of Katie 66s, tested them there, matched up sets, you can see the date. Yeah, ex-military, new old stock. So I don't really want to resell them. I don't like the idea of selling valves at all. But they might be really good in a vintage restoration of a Marshall or something. I'm not a big fan of new old stock valves in general, but they tested good, so I think we're good there. I tested on Dad's tester, and because they're new old stock and haven't really been moved around much and are in their original packaging, not much in the form of microphonics either. A couple of Mullard 6L6s, again, new old stock, reportedly. Still testing good. It's turned into an X-rated stream fast. Yeah, I made up a match quad of KT 66s, and they were within 0.2 of a milliamp. Fucking closest match I've ever seen. Got a couple of randoms as well, which I don't know. That they reckon that's a KT 66, a 7581A. I don't know. Looks like a 6L6 to me, but small package. That's what they called me in high school. No, just joking. How do you know? Did you get some 6A CA7s? No, otherwise I would have said so. I got this one though, which I know that's a one-off. Got this set of Katie's, Wing C Svetties. They all tested pretty closely. Not sure what year these were. They'll come in handy for something. I don't really want to do resale of valves, although that would be like the most profitable way of doing it. But I kind of want to hang on to them for when some real special amp comes along. But I know what'll happen. A lot of people don't know what they've got when they've got an amp. They just want it to work again, and they sort of don't want to spend much money on it, regardless of the market value of the amp, which is a bit sad because often they end up trying to cut corners when the amp really deserves more. Put those in a Marshall Pig. I've never even seen a Marshall Pig, but yeah, it would be good. Old 6V6G. That tested alright too. CV509. Not sure of the brand of that one. They're not particularly special though. You find them in radios and stuff, but if we've got an old radio, we can match it with a valve that's sort of from that era and looks the part. Yeah, that sort of helped me stock up my big bottle stash anyway, because I'm finding the a lot of the production stuff these days pretty fucking unreliable. So I've gone with 6V6s from Electro Harmonics because they seem to be the only ones that don't catch fire like the fucking tube amp doctors, and don't go microphonic like even the double mic JJs, which is sad. Here's the replacement ones that tube amp doctor sent me that have also failed. Well, I haven't tested those ones yet. I haven't had a chance, but a couple more Katie's here. So these are from Audio Precision, which is a Audio Research, sorry, which is a rebadger from somewhere, but we tested them up and they're good as well. That was from that deceased estate a while back, but I made her an offer on the box of valves and got them home, and fucking 25% of them are broken. I should have opened them, but I didn't want to. Yeah, I thought initially that you know, I'll give her some cash, help her out and whatever, and then she started like bargaining real hard. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's like this, is it? Righto. And then I started being a little bit more careful with what I was throwing money at. I sort of wanted to give her some cash to help her out and support her, but then she started hard bargaining. I'm like, alright, at least I know what game we're playing now. I would trade any valve for a KT Perry. I don't know. Sexbots showed up before the stream even began, good. He looked into that box, yeah. What's in the box? What's in the box? Kevin Spacey's photo collection. That's what was in the box. That's enough to shut up anyone. Serious! How you going, Alex? What's going on, legend? You pretending, are you doing the IT game today or the amp game? Nope. Already populated them all. Fender Band 10 bass only made in 1969 to 71, 30 watts RMS, really stupid Yamaha oval hi-fi speakers, Mojo tone baffle conversion, 410s, but they were 8 ohm each, which is a 2 ohm load, so I disconnected two of the speakers. why don't you wire them up series parallel? So you got 2 at 8 ohm, put them in parallel in 2 banks, so then you got 4 ohm per side, then put them in series and you got 8 ohm again. What was the original impedance? IT game today, about to drive into the office. Yep, it's that time. What's an average day in the IT game entail, Alex? Like, is it like network admin or you know, like support, or what is it? Just looking up. Photos of naked ladies. It's a 4 ohm load. So you could drive a 4 ohm at 8. It wouldn't be the end of the world. The voltages will swing a bit further, but you're not going to hurt anything going 1 step out. You'd probably be alright. Yeah, Lyle's back me up there. I feel validated. It's better than running down to 2, I think. Two's almost like a fucking dead short, really, isn't it? Average day faking work until you come home. Fair enough. I understand why you're into the amps then, because when you got a job like that, you need passions to fulfill your human compulsions. You can't run 4 ohms into 2. You can, but it's sort of, you're down right at the bottom end of the scale there. Like, I personally would be more inclined to run a 4 ohm output into a 8 ohms worth of drivers, but hello Brad and all the people just dropped in. What are these boards? So these are boards, I'm not going to explain it all over again, but these are boards for the Marshall JCM 2000 series. Rewind to the start of the video if you want clarification on that. I've got other videos on the subject. Suppose if you've got 8 ohms worth of internal impedance. I mean, think about Fender. Fender did this all the time. They'd have an 8 ohm output winding. And they'd often have just a standard simple jack, like no other windings on the output transformer, but then they'd have an auxiliary jack. So which is it? Are you running an 8 ohm winding into an 8 ohm speaker, and then you plug it in, you got another 8 ohms, so you got 4 ohms? So yeah, Fender was never really strict about the output impedance. 2-layer boards, yes they are. Ding ding. Designing KiCad by myself. Yours truly, if you will. And if you're not running the thing right hard into output stage distortion, it's pretty trivial. You should be fine. If you're pushing the thing real hard, you'd want to have a perfect match, but should be right, mate. Good enough for rock and roll. Got a case of the Sheebies. She'd be right. Come on, you bugger. Got it in my belly. So no bias run then. Bias run. Do you mean to address the bias drift? Yeah, that's one of the issues, but people always say, oh, it's the bias drift issue, but it's not really the bias drift issue. That's just a symptom of the failure. It's board leakage. So I've had
JCM 2000 series amps where there is no bias drift, but they've got other symptoms caused by the board leakage. So imagine a big sheet of fucking fiberglass, right? And there's been some contamination, or the epoxies aren't the right type or whatever. You start forming conductive dendrites throughout the board. Now, that contamination, it's pretty unlikely to be exactly uniform throughout the entire substrate sheet, because this thing probably comes in probably like a 3 meter sheet or something ridiculously large, and then it gets cut up. It's pretty unlikely that it's going to be perfectly evenly distributed throughout the board. There's probably like areas of concentration greater than others. However, heat does exacerbate it, so it often manifests itself in this area. And what's bang in the middle of the area? Well, on the original board, you had the bias board right here, and you had all these components right here, right next to the plate there. I've moved them down a bit to get them away a touch and increased the margins quite a bit. It doesn't look like much, but it is. And put isolation slots between the sockets, that kind of thing, but that's between the socket pins. But there's no guarantee that there's going to be whatever contamination triggers it in this particular area. It could be over here somewhere, you know, like in the preamp. So sometimes it manifests itself as leaking voltage to the switching circuit, the heaters, noise, grid voltages, stray grid voltages, causing stages to cut off or sound bad, distorted. There's all sorts of things that can cause it. However, a lot of amateur techs or whatever don't notice these issues. They keep playing the thing or whatever, or it's fine until you start blowing fuses and blowing up EL34s. But it's probably sounding like fucking arse a good stage before that, right? Because of all these other issues, or it's having issues with the channel switching or whatever. So it's only when it starts blowing fuses and stops powering up entirely that people actually do something about it. But it's probably got all sorts of issues before that. But people only address stuff when you turn it on and nothing happens. They don't worry about it until then. Get in there. Need to get my camera kung fu happening again. Been out of the game, champions. Too busy. So, it's the 6th of March. Does that mean I've got more memberships to give away? No. Oh, I can't do it in YouTube Studio because YouTube's an idiot. Da -da 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 -da. Hey, I've got memberships to give away again. Time flies when you're having fun. Every month. Boom. Who got one? Kenneth, Dan, Jimmy Mac. Hey, the old outlaw, and double A89. Boom. Finally found affordable pair of lead forming pliers from RS Pro. Ah, sweet as, Wes. Put up the part number if you can. RS Pro, that's like their generic brand that they make their own stuff under. Like they'll rip off other brands and call it RS Pro. Joy buzzer. Been trying for years. Bugger. I wish you could just assign who gets one, but you can't. Even when you donate them, like gift them yourself, it just goes out to them. I think it goes out to like the most present viewers, so the ones that are here most often, even if they don't say anything or participate in chat. That's fine. You can be a lurker. That's all right. I like lurking. Prefer to do it in the bush out front in Mum's house, but you know. Gotcha. Can I just pay $5 or something? Yeah, you can do that. There's a membership button there. All right, let me try one more. Hang on. We'll see if you get lucky this time. There's another 5 to go. Here you go, 5. Come on, Joy Buzzer. Come on. Come on. Daniel got one. Hard got one. Someone bloody random. Oh, I think Frank got one. Ivan is Laney. Damn. Didn't get one again, Joy Buzzer. Bloody hell. Ah, well. Good luck next time, buddy. Am I the only schmuck who bought his membership? Well, I get free ones, 10 free ones to give away every month. That's the way it works. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I guess it's to sucker people into it. But yeah, YouTube give them away for free. You're silly not to. So I gift them. Gets people to the channel too, but the thing is, I've got to produce more members only content. At the moment, I'm so time starved that I can't even produce any content, let alone additional members only stuff. But when I do, I try to put as many gold nuggies in there. So tips and tricks. Oh, I folded a lead over, you fucking prick. So when that happens. See, it's bent over. You can push them back in and try again. All right, go again. Getting too excited. Trying to go again, what the fuck? Go, you asshole. Gotcha. More content in general. Is that you telling me to make more content? Well, yeah, I'd love to, but I do have to pay rent as well and keep customers off my back, and at the moment there's about 50 on my back. When's it ready? When's it ready? When's it ready? Tell me the date. I need to know a date. I need to know a date. Well, if you can tell me how long the 100 jobs in front of your job will take to the second, which I can't do either, then I can give you a date, maybe. And that's not taking into account anything life-related. So no, I won't give you a fucking ETA because it's ready when it's ready. A lot of people think it's like getting your car serviced, but when, I don't know what it's like overseas, but when you book in your car for a repair and they figure out what's wrong with it, there's a company called Repco who seem to have pretty much a monopoly, and they have little champions in fucking hatchback cars that drive parts out. So you order parts from Repco, they turn up fucking 2 hours later because they have a network all the way across Australia of warehouses for current model cars, and they can get you the parts you need within a couple of hours, and then you can put that part in the car and away she goes. Not only that, but being a mechanic is a recognised trade, so if you are short of staff, you can hire someone who's qualified and expect them to pretty much hit the ground running, whereas in this trade you cannot, because it's an antiquated fucking cottage industry. So you can't scale up in this game. You can't easily scale up. So you're kind of stuck with whatever I can fucking provide you. And when there's 100 jobs in the queue, if you have like 10% of those ring up and ask for an ETA, that adds a lot of stress to the day. All of a sudden you got 10 people on your back that now you feel like there's a... the tone in their voice can sometimes just be a bit insistent, like I need it now. And if you get that 10 times in a row in a day, it can wipe you out emotionally and fucking stress you out. And that's just 10% of the jobs in the queue. Motorcycle repair content for viewers. Yeah, well, yeah. When I get around to it, I don't know when that's going to happen, because it seems like life is just getting more and more filled with bullshit every single fucking year. We've got less and less spare time every year just to keep our heads at the same level above water. So it's going to have to break at some point. I can't keep going like this, because I can't work 15-hour days every day for the rest of my life and then still only just, you know, not really put any savings away or anything. It's sort of... something's got to change. So I think what I'm going to have to do is reduce the hours in the shop, so I've got time to concentrate and do developmental work, or just catch up on stuff without distractions throughout the day. Like I get mates just turning up and wanting to hang out, and I can't. But everyone thinks it's a chilled out, cool job. You know, you live in the dream, blah, blah, blah. Whenever you talk to a business owner, a small business owner, self-employed, and you say, hey, how you going? They always have the tongue-in-cheek response, living the dream, because, you know, you finish your quoting, then you do a bit of work. You do some work, you realise you need to order parts, so you sit at the computer and order parts. And then once you've finished ordering parts, you go and try and do some other work. You find out you need some other parts, so you sit back at the computer and you do some part ordering. When you finally finish the job, then you got to sit down and do invoicing. So you got to write out everything and send it. You got to chase up payments. You got to answer email questions. You got to do support if you know, you need to return something under warranty. Then you got to send the RA back to the company for them to decide whether or not you get a warranty claim. You got to explain this to the customer, and then they get angry if they don't get a claim. But you're stuck in the middle, so you sort of have to, there's an expected thing that you just give them a refund, and then you absorb the losses, and then the company that sold you the product gets away with it, and the customer gets, you know, even if they damage the thing, get it for free. Then there's after all of that, at the end of the day, you've got to reconcile. So after you've done all the work and the invoicing and all of that, once you've cooked dinner and washed your clothes, then you've got to sit down at the computer and you've got to reconcile for the day, and then you've got to process your tax return. And if you don't do that on time, you get a fine. And then for processing your tax return, you get the joy of having to actually pay the bill. So then you've got to go and pay the bill. You've got to pay all your other suppliers' bills. And then people tell me I charge too much. It's like, fuck you. Off you go. See you later. Yeah, that's right, Jimmy Mac. As a small business owner, we get to work any of the 80 hours a week that we want. And so you hear these reports in the news like, oh, they were this person had to work 80 hours a week. It's terrible. It's like, what? Really? And there's no guaranteed wage too. Like you've got to, if you don't work, you don't get paid. Like when you got a full-time job, you get a paycheck no matter what. It's like if the work slows down, oh well, take some time off or clean up sweep the floor. If you don't have constant fucking throughput here, there's no income. No income. You can't pay bills. You can't do anything. That happens a few weeks in a row, and you go under. You've got to go get another job, and you've got to not only that, but get rid of all the stock here somehow. That's a full-time job. Just to get rid of the stuff you've already accrued. Pretty scary running your own business. It can really build up, and that's why you need to take some time off where you can, exercise. Need to just not take in as much work, basically. But people get upset when you don't take in their job. They, oh well, fuck. What am I supposed to do? You know, I don't give a fuck what you do, frankly. But there's sort of the thing, like no one wants to leave with their thing if you don't want to fix it. They're just like, oh no, can you have a look? Can you have a quick look? It's like, no, I can't have a quick look. There's no such thing as a quick look. Opening a keyboard takes an hour. That's not quick. I can't turbocharge my screwdriver. So yeah, it's good fun, I'll tell you that much. And then I've got these which are running late, so I've got to try and get these out ASAP. I've got to test them yet once I do finish assembling them. But it's never enough, champions. You always should be working harder and faster and more efficiently. Just ask the customers. But the thing is, when I want to, if I wanted to go to like 4 days a week or 5 days a week and use that other time to catch up, because we've got the retail, then the sales reps are like, oh, what, you're only going to be open 4 days a week, or you're not going to make much sales. You better lift your numbers, bro. Oh, you better get some staff. But you can't just get staff. You can't get staff. Like, what am I going to do? Like, just trust them to run the store and have access to all my accounts on the software? Do I have to get another account for the account keeping software so they don't have access to all the accounts just to run the point of sale? Do I have to get another computer and dedicate the point of sale? Do I have to buy another license for the point of sale module for Xero just so they can do that and then install another computer here? It's nothing simple. Everyone just, oh, just do this. No, it's not fucking, it's not baking a cake, bro. Yeah, it's what it's like, Jimmy Mac. You know what? Now you got a membership, so all is well in the world. Colleen Fazio was talking on a video about maybe getting a storefront instead of working out of a garage. My advice was stay in the garage and not sign a store lease. Can't trust this economy. Yeah, now is not the time to expand. But all the retail guys want to use you. All the sales reps want to use you as their personal bank, so they'll tell you, oh yeah, no, everything's selling great. Yeah, fuck off. How many amps is Colleen putting through a week, though? I was under the impression she only does like one every fucking week or something. A couple every week. I don't know, it's probably a bit like us. We only film like 10% of the work. There's nothing wrong with working out of your garage, man. There's a lot of people disparage you. I got disparaged by Guitar Factory Parramatta. Oh, he just works out of his garage. I go, yeah, it's in the fucking name of the business, you cockheads. I don't exactly hide it. But now I don't have a garage, I've got a shop. I don't know what they fucking say about me now. They probably found some other way to talk me down, but whatever. Who gives a fuck? When you're running a guitar shop, on the remainder of when the music business was actually profitable, like the 90s, 80s and 90s, you're going to obviously end up large because you've got a large amount of capital behind you. You get better deals off the reps, off the distributors. You can actually become a distributor for a lot of stuff. You've got a set of staff. You've probably got 3 people managing the website alone. Yeah. No wonder you're fucking bigger. Of course you are. Don't be stupid. But yeah, trying to disparage me because I worked out of a garage, like, that's just nonsensical. Don't even have a garage, yeah. Lyle works out of his room. Out of his, what looks like it used to be a living, like a dining room or something. Is that a dining room, Lyle? Or a, like a sitting room? Converted? Looks very comfy, very nice and cozy. So I don't know what happens with the economy. It looks like we're headed for a massive crash. It seems to be intentional. So in that case, I'll probably have to go back to the garage or set up the spare room at home as the electronics workshop and continue fixing the guitars on in the garage. Don't know. Well, time will tell. Our overheads here are not fantastic, but they're not terrible either. It's like, you know, 42 Roentgen. But yeah, if we head towards a major disruption of all markets in the global economy, I don't see how people are going to be able to afford discretionary spending like fucking musical equipment. They'll pretty much just wipe out the entire arts industry, I think. A bit like COVID did. Anyway... Jason Tong works out of his house, yeah. I work out of my outdoor table sometimes, yeah. Got a double garage, yeah. That's the dream, mate. So it'd be great, like, if you own a house and you've got a workshop, that's as good as it gets, pretty much. If you own your house and it's got a workshop or ability to facilitate a workshop, be it a garage, a shed, nice and cozy room like Lyle's got, something like that. That is the bee's knees. That's the best case scenario. I was looking 2019-ish, 2018, thinking about buying a factory unit, but I was going to go more towards the manufacturing side, like manufacturing cabinets and amps and even guitars. So it was either, if I find a good factory unit, I'll go down the woodworking and manufacturing path, and if I find a good retail store, I'll go more towards that way. And that's what popped up. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to stay that way. You need to stay sort of flexible and amorphous in this industry, in this world. So we can always adapt. The whole reason we're in this industry fixing obsolete shit with hard to find parts is because we know how to adapt to things. That's the repair person's mantra. So we'll figure it out and we'll find a way forward. There's always going to be a thirst for art, no matter how bad the world gets. In fact, probably more so. The only problem is there's not going to be as much money to be able to fund it. The thirst will always be there, more so in times of distress, because it offers solidarity and it offers camaraderie amongst us proletariat plebs. So there'll always be a need for it, but finding a way to make it profitable might get a lot, well, will get a lot harder. But we're punk rock and we'll find a way. I have a 1,000 square foot basement. I use about half of it for my shop. How do you go with the, I assume you're in the US, vintage tube amps, because you say tube. Do you have issues over there with the what is the gas? The radioactive gas? Radon gas? In your basement? So I assume you got ventilation for that. Achilles Amps works from his house too, less than 10 minutes drive from me. Cool. I do like the Achilles stuff, but they do copy everything from Fender down to the wire. I wasn't a fan of that Nix 5-watt thing. I've had a few now and they're all the same, so you can't tell me they've all been modified. But the larger Fender style ones, like the black face ones and brown face ones, were really well built. So just exactly copy off Fender though, so no improvement over the Fender stuff. Radon is not in every place. Yeah, it's wherever granite is, isn't it? Generally based around granite. Radon is a concern in some parts of the country, yeah. BC Electronics, we're chatting about anything at the moment because I'm about to open the store, so I'm about to leave you to it. I was just assembling these boards. Going to try and finish them all off today and get them out, get them tested and get them sent off. Yeah, he does, but he'll deny it, obviously, yeah. Whatever, he makes good stuff. Very good bones. If you want to do any modification from there, then it's a good basis to... you know, cherry it up a bit. Oh, well, I'm going to piss off, Legends. Sorry we didn't even get to solder or anything, but that's how long it takes to just install stuff. I'll catch us on maybe Saturday, but I think we'll leave it till Sunday, and we'll have a good party time. Have a few whiskeys and beers and stuff. I'm trying to start off at 10. On Sunday, but stretch it out so we can have a beer at midday. I don't really want to drink in the AM, even though it is a Sunday. So until then, in looking at the subs, we might actually tick over on the weekend, over the 10,000 mark, which would be fantastic. So if we get too close, all unsubscribe, right? What are we at the moment? Hang on. Brad's Guitar Garage, 9.95k. Let me just have a look at my YouTube studio. We are currently at 9,956 subscribers. So if we get too close, you've all got to unsubscribe. So then you can resubscribe on Sunday, and we can go over the threshold. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Legends. I've got to go open the shop. I feel like another coffee, so I might go for a walk up for another coffee. And oh, I just turned the BOFA on. Whoops. And I'll come back and solder this shit and get it tested and get it out the door. Sorry for everyone that's been waiting on the order. I know I said shipping late Feb. Now it's friggin' early March. Time just gets away from me, eh? And I'll get them shipped as soon as I can, but I want to test them thoroughly first, so there's no issues. So I'll see you on Sunday, if not maybe Saturday morning, but I'll see you definitely Sunday. So take it easy.